We talk about Idiot Page because, well, I'm going to call it Idiot because it was John's idea, and it's a good idea because I don't know which one of those names we're allowed to use. I think neither is the correct association.
Surely we're allowed to use the new one.
I don't know if that makes sense though.
Sense.
No, I ain't risking it. That's for sure.
We're definitely allowed to use it because that is now that person's name.
However, Idiot Page does work better.
Okay, we'll go with that.
However, so let's start off just with a promotion in case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So this is the new book club we did yesterday, Douglas Murray's The War in the West, which you should go and check out because he documents a lot of this idiocy, of course. And also mentioning we've done Constantine Kissin's book club now as well, which will be out on the 14th, hopefully. But otherwise, we should get into Idiot Page herself. I need to really word my wording better. But we'll start off, as you can see here. BuzzFeed News, breaking a story. Elliot Page's dead name appeared as a trending topic on Twitter, violating the site's own policy on hateful conduct. In a statement to BuzzFeed News, a Twitter spokesman said that it was a mistake and has since been removed. And the reason this trended is because Jordan Peterson said Idiot Page's name, and apparently that's banned now because it's dead naming, as if it's some kind of crime against humanity to say someone's previous name.
Yeah. Although I noticed, if you go on the Juno Wikipedia page, they still describe the character as a she, her, and I find that hateful, Callum, because that was a boy in that movie.
As Michael said, it was his favourite LGBTQ plus film.
Exactly.
It was a gay relationship, as we all know now.
So why is Wikipedia so hateful that it says she, her, Juno, it talks about this pregnant woman. That was a pregnant man, and we all know that. It
was not, a woman with a beard.
Exactly.
But if we go to the next one here, we can see the reason as to why this trended, as you see Ben Shapiro posting. So Jordan Peterson decided to tweet out that the name, which is now banned, presumably, of Idiot Page, and then the fact that they had their breasts removed, which was all factually true, but politically incorrect, even though it's factually correct, because, we live in the free West. And then Dave Rubin decided to, make people aware that that had happened, and for doing that, he was also banned. So now they're both banned.
It's a kind of Russian doll meta dead name banning system.
Yeah. I don't get dead naming. Like, I don't get why that's some kind of crime against progressivism. Like, I understand their reasoning. But for it to be on the, equality with, I don't know, calling for the death of black people, I mean, it's the same sort of thing. You'll get you banned from Twitter.
It's the most Orwellian kind of thing, isn't it? It's like there was never any, it's always been the current time or whatever it is.
Yeah, we've always been at war with these days.
Yes, I'm not that familiar with Orwell. It became clear there. But I knew there was something about we're always in the present. There's no past. Did you see the woman behind Friends, the sitcom, who went back and said we were using the wrong pronoun for Chandler's trans dad? Because in the show, because Friends was a different era, guys. I'm a geriatric millennial, so I can explain to everyone.
What? So
in Friends, Chandler had
I remember Friends, but you got Chandler, he's got a dad.
Had a father who was now a woman, as I believe that was it. And it was kind of used as a point of ridicule and shame throughout the series. He'd reference it with kind of shame, and that was a funny joke at the time. But now, the woman who created Friends, or co-created or whatever, she said the other day, to be honest, I didn't even click on the piece. I'd know more detail if I did, but one of those things you're like, I don't know if I can even click on that. She was saying we didn't use the right pronoun for
cancer. It just shows you how much has changed. I believe also one of them had to pay like $2 million in reparations because the show was white or some crap.
Oh, they were saying it didn't have any black characters in it. I know, it's amazing. Anyway. Hang on, it says here we kept referring to her as Chandler's father, even though Chandler's father was trans. She said in an interview with the BBC World Service, pronouns were not yet something that I understood. So she wants to go back in time and understand this nonsense from 2022.
And reword it so Chandler's father was not a father, even though he's Chandler's father.
Right.
In the script.
Imagine how bad 2022 Friends would have been.
Unwatchable. Although we can see it in real time. So you can see here, if you click on the second one here, I believe this is Ruben's response to the whole thing, which is... oh, well. So he says, I have been suspended by Twitter for posting a screenshot of Jordan Peterson's tweet, which got himself suspended. While it is unclear how I broke their terms of service, you didn't, mate, it is clear that they are breaking their fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders by letting a bunch of woke activists run the company. I hope Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter goes through and he can blow up their servers and humanity can move past this persuasive, twisted, and self-mental institution, which is definitely true that it's just, I think he's brought it now, officially, like the deal has gone through, in which case I wonder what's all this spate of banning coming about, because you would have thought if you work at Twitter, you just wouldn't bother.
They're just getting their bans in before he arrives. You think that's what it is?
Presumably, yeah.
Let's do as much evil stuff as we can before Musk comes in and starts making actual profit.
That's we have to do good things in the world. Not on my watch.
Did you see that? Did you see that brilliant? I'm sure you saw it. We might have discussed it before. The meeting with Musk and Twitter employees at the Zoom call, and there's a fascinating thing where he talked about inclusion. When they were like, "What does inclusion mean to you?" and he said, "Just getting more people on the platform." It means more people, and that blew their tiny minds. He's like, "More people, more money, people, on
money and people. What do you mean?"
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh no," because when we say inclusion, we mean getting rid of people because they're wrong and evil. It's like that's not what inclusion means, guys.
That's brilliant. I love when you have a normie, perspective finally interact with those hyper political types.
Yeah. Like, okay, interesting.
If we get to the next one here, you can see Ben Shapiro just being dead right again, as he has always been on this topic, frankly, as we've seen. And he says here, dead naming is when you notice that someone has changed his or her name. Gender ideology violates the laws of biology and logic as well as physics. Now we must engage in time travel and pretend that there was a man called Elliot Page who starred in Juno as a pregnant girl or pregnant boy.
Thank you,
Ben. How dare you, as well. But it's just like, I really don't get this concept of just like, we must say for all time this person has now changed, or that if you dare mention that they were the opposite, that's got to be banned, because that's what's happened. And if you believe now, as the progressive dogma surely is, you can't reference the old times, then that time didn't happen.
Just thinking out loud here, but doesn't that take away from the sort of beauty of their transitional journey?
You would have thought. Yeah.
Because I've heard it's a beautiful journey.
I mean, how are you trans if you didn't transition?
Exactly. You're just a bloke. Then you're just like me and Callum. It's like, why are we going on about this?
Oh, you're a bit short, but have you seen Elliot Page's attempts at being manly?
What do you mean?
Just the sitting around trying to look tough, and it's...
Oh, the sort of photo shoots and stuff.
Yeah, don't work to say the least. But if we go to the next one here, because there's also the obvious point that this only applies to the aristocracy of the modern age, which of course is the so oppressed who get special rights. Because as Lauren Chen points out, when it comes to trans activists, she says, we now have a protected class with special rights. Misgender me, and nothing will happen to you. Call me by the wrong name, and nothing will happen to you. The same, however, cannot be said of Idiot Page over there, who, well... How dare you reference that Juno existed and you watched it in school? That's not allowed anymore. But it's totally true as well. Like if I call you the wrong name, no one cares. You call me the wrong, no one cares. I mean, it's water off a duck's back. But if you dare do it to an aristocratic member of the aristocracy, then Jordan Peterson gone. Dave Rubin points out that happened, also gone. Okay, this is normal.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They're very much, like you say, part of the new elite. This Page person, just by being some actor in indie movies and things like. Whereas Peterson, with 2.8 million Twitter followers, is actually a much bigger figure, but he's not part of the elite. But he in a way, he is. In a way, he's a famous thinker who's massively influential. But he's just not. But some actor from an indie movie that was okay 20 years ago, whatever it was.
That's how you measure success, isn't it? Is it in doing good, helping people, gaining a following, making money? Maybe no. It's how ideological are you?
Yeah, how ensconced are you in the cathedral?
Yeah. If you go to the next one here, you can see some people obviously mentioning that, well, if we can't mention the old name at all anymore, well, in which case, what the hell do we do with all the old posts as well? As you can see here, Entertainment Tonight's blaspheming by saying Idiot Page says something or other, who cares? But they dare use old photos and old names.
Now, is that person trolling? Or are they serious?
They're trolling. I'm sorry, I thought...
But it's so hard to know, isn't it?
But that's the rules. I mean, if Jordan Peterson is banned for saying the old name, well then...
Some intern needs to go through all these articles. That's the bottom line. I
mean, fundamentally, yes. How dare you? But if you go to the next one as well, there's also the obvious point that it's poor, innocent women has always been on the right side of history. As we know, there's no way that they're wrong about this one again, are they? I mean, if you remember this is the Jussie Smollett hoax, where she went on Colbert and was like, it's not a debate. It happened to him. And Colbert's like, I totally agree.
Are we going to play it, or are we just going to enjoy the still of a person of indeterminate gender?
I didn't clip it out, but let's just play the first part there because it's unbelievable.
You have to be fired.
It feels impossible to not feel this way right now with the president and the vice president, Mike Pence, who wishes I couldn't be married. Let's just be clear. The vice president of America wishes I didn't have the love with my wife. He wanted to ban that in Indiana. He believes in conversion therapy. He has hurt LGBTQ people so badly as the government of Indiana, and I think the thing we need to know, and I hope my show Gaycation did this, in terms of connecting the dots, in terms of what happened the other day to Jesse. I don't know him personally. I sent all of my love. Connect the dots. This is what happens. You're in a position of power and you hate people and you want to cause suffering to them. You go through the trouble. You spend your career trying to cause suffering. What do you think is going to happen? Kids are going to be abused and they're going to kill themselves. And people are going to be beaten on the street. I have traveled the world and I have met the most marginalized people you could meet. I am lucky to have this time and the privilege to say this. This needs to stop.
Let's pause it there.
I love that dramatic pause. You're like, she's about to say something profound. Oh, she's not. She's just going to swear. That actors are very dangerous because they're so good at manipulating emotions and being really convincing about nothing. Do you see how passionate? That was brilliant in terms of pure acting. But she said absolutely nothing. What was the bit about beating people in the street? That didn't make any sense.
It's going to happen to like Jussie Smollett again.
Oh yeah, Smollett. That
more
was
MAGA country stuff. I don't know.
Do you know what that reminded me of a little bit was Matthew McConaughey. Because he sort of went like, oh, is McConaughey going based? Because he sort of started talking to Peterson and saying, hey, man, yeah, we need like a conversation. Like he started getting like, hey, I'm like, I'm a sort of interesting centrist who isn't totally lefty. But then he suddenly went all in on gun control, didn't he? He went, do you see it? And he had this alleged sneakers of the shooting victim. Look at these sneakers. And he's such a good actor. He's convincing everyone, oh, yeah, take our guns, Matthew. They're very dangerous people.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I love there as well as like, he tried to take away the love between me and my wife. Yeah, well, you did that anyway. But let's move to the next one, though, because there's more information of this, of course. So you have Jordan Peterson here. The response he obviously gave was, I'd rather die than delete the truth. And there was a typical response from the leftists, which is just do it. Of course, they're going to say that because they're leftists, but there we have it. There was just he gave this speech.
Then he would become more powerful than they can possibly imagine.
Literally. And if
Peterson the martyr.
If you go to the next one here, there's also just the fact that, writers started playing a game because this is rather funny, isn't it? There's like, wait, you can't say the name. Oh, okay. Then loads of people, like you see George here, who just started tweeting out the name of Idiot Page. And everyone just started retweeting it and posting it, and then it started trending. And then Twitter had to step in and be like, no, it never happened. Trust us. Juno isn't a real movie.
That's when you know we're in an oppressive society. Just a name is subversive. And also, I mean, it's kind of like Stalin deleting Trotsky kind of stuff, isn't it? And then the fact that she said in that clip, she talked about powerful people. I can't remember exactly what she said. But it's like,
you can get your name deleted from the internet.
Right. You're the most powerful. It doesn't get any more powerful.
No. I mean, do you remember what was it, the Ukrainian leaker whose name was deleted off the internet as well? Because they were there, embarrassed the Biden administration or whatever. It's just like, okay, yeah, right. But if we go to the next one here, you can see there was people pointing out, surely this rule actually applies to everyone now as well. Twitter banned Jordan Peterson for misgendering Idiot Page. Good. Now make it common for all TERFs and not just the ones who target celebrities, which is true. And Twitter has only done this for Idiot Page. They haven't done it for everyone else, because TERFs still, are TERFs and able to exist there for now. And, of course, the logic must go forward. So I'm sure we can look forward to that as well.
Ban all TERFs.
Yeah. But it's not only randos who are getting banned, like Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin. Who are they? Nobody's, I'm sure. But you have loads of other people who are getting banned as well. And I thought we'd just indulge in this. So you can see Breaking 911. We've featured many a time. They just post news. They've been doing it for a decade. And then they were just suddenly banned. I was like, okay, that's normal. I mean, this is why I think you're right, that the guys at Twitter just seem to be going on a spree. And
yeah, and very much like libs of TikTok, they just show the truth or defiant L's. It's like just showing what you people are is bad enough.
Yeah.
And weirdly, the people know that because they're trying to get it banned.
Why else are you reporting the tweets?
Stop showing accurate things about us.
But libs of TikTok had to step in and like tag Elon Musk and be like, hey, this is literally just a news account. What's the problem? And thankfully they're back for that. But I suppose it's more evidence of Twitter's employees going on rampage. But also, there's one more here. And this is a brand new thing. Because, of course, we always had accounts that, delete and then get back on because, they get exposed or something like that. Twitter was taken to court over a recent one and actually reinstated an account because they realized how badly they messed up. Go to the next one here. This is Twitter accepting that, when they banned someone, they shouldn't have done it. It was complete nonsense. And if you go to the next one here, you can see the individual himself. I'm not too familiar with the chap. I'm sure some people might be. This guy, Alex, here, saying Shady's back, tell a friend. Full story of my reinstatement, including Twitter's acknowledgement of their error. Check out my Substack, and so we shall. Let's go to his Substack. It says here, let's get the official statement, the reinstatement statement, out of the way first. Quote, the parties have come to a mutually acceptable resolution. I have been reinstated. Twitter has acknowledged that my tweets should not have led to my suspension at that time. Okay. He says, take a look at that third sentence again. Twitter has acknowledged that my tweets should not have led to my suspension at that time. To recap, last August, Twitter banned me after I got 5 strikes under its COVID-19 misinformation policy, which meant I supposedly made, quote, claims of fact that were demonstrably false or misleading and likely to impact public safety or cause serious harm. That's the policy. That's what it takes to get a strike. Look it up. Now we come to find those tweets should not have led to my suspension. Oopsie. Hey, everyone makes mistakes, I suppose. Not everyone's mistakes led to a worldwide series of defamation articles like this one, though. And then he gives us an example from Insider, who ran with COVID conspiracy theorist Alex banned from Twitter after posting anti-vaccine rant. There are loads of those. It's not just one that went after him. All in the past, though. Lil Bird and I are now best of friends. And I can't wait for Insider and NBC News and everyone else who drooled over my suspension in August 2021 and later to devote equal space to the fact that I'm back and Twitter's admission it should never have banned me. Much more, actually, I believe this has never happened before. And that's the interesting thing, because he sued. He said, well, I haven't done anything wrong. Prove it. What misinformation have I put out? And, well, you remember 2021 and how things were true until they weren't, and then they were true again.
Absolutely, yeah.
We can't talk about any of them on YouTube, which makes sense. But
I know. Very much like the lab leak theory, I always think is the ultimate example. You know, it's a bat, guys, and you can't say it's the lab. You'll be banned from everything. Oh, it's the lab.
Don't worry, Jon Stewart said it now. So
yeah, exactly.
As you please. You know what it took Twitter to admit that it shouldn't have done what it did? You do not, and I can't tell you, because the statement is all I can say about the settlements, the author writes, which is a shame, because I'd love to know. But he does say, except I need to add one thing. The settlement does not end my investigation into the pressures that the government may have placed on Twitter to suspend my account. I will have more to say on that issue in the near future. I made a promise to the readers last month, and I made a promises to my readers. I take my promises seriously. It's an interesting point there.
That's the key sentence that stuck with me, and we probably were going to show it stuck out to some other people as well.
Pressures that the government may have placed on Twitter to suspend me.
May have. Someone try not to get sued again immediately.
Yeah, but if we go to the next one, we're not the only people who noticed. Elon Musk noticed.
There it is.
Tell us more. I'd love to know. And yeah, I'm sure they'll be having a chat soon. And of course, we know directly where this came from because we were aware of it at the time. If you go to the next one here, it's the Surgeon General informed by the Biden administration to go after misinformation as defined by the government. Because, you know, that's the government's role, censoring the American public.
Well, this is it, and this is what I want to know more about, because we all say, oh, big tech censorship, and we all hate big tech, but how far is it actually just the Dems forcing them and the left forcing them? We don't know.
Well, in regards to COVID misinformation, we do, 100% now. I mean, the dots are there.
Know.
Even if he can't say it, I mean, we know. So this is the article at the time in which the Surgeon General came out and said, you know, my job is usually, giving you advice on how to not smoke. Not today anymore. I've got better things to do, such as... telling you that misinformation is now my job, and I'm going to be the arbiter of truth. Murthy, the Surgeon General, also went on some of those very platforms to spread the message, including Twitter and Facebook. The advisory isn't a set of orders that must be followed by these companies, Fox, right, of all people, but the increased scrutiny does add attention and pressure on them to more aggressively combat the falsehoods spreading on their platforms. And then they have the press secretary, Jen Psaki, saying that the White House has been in contact with those platforms and flags problematic content for them, which is obviously, as Senator Josh Hawley pointed out, basically just them acting as arms of the federal government, censoring Americans.
You sort of just imagine it's Jen Psaki just texting Twitter, don't you? Just take that down. I mean, I'm not making any legal claim. It's purely satirical content, but you do imagine her doing that, don't you?
Oh, straight up. I mean, how else? Because she said, what was it? There were 9 individuals. I was like, okay, so you've got them in your phone. And you have text those 9 names. And
now they've replaced her with that puppet. She can just devote herself full time to doing that.
Yeah. And I'm not too familiar with the chat, but if we go for what I just checked up his name, and yeah, they really did hate him. As you can see here, the Daily Beast ran in with their headline being, it's finally banned from Twitter. Goodbye. The next one is just some other article, which is just like, yeah, wrongest man on the internet. Yeah. For how long?
Not according to law.
No, not according to, well, Twitter themselves. But there you have it. There's the various bellings and, well, the name we can no longer say. I mean, the new Voldemort of the West being Idiot Page, who, well, can't say anything about.
I just want to celebrate E. Page's beautiful journey that didn't happen because E. Page was always a man.
It was truly inspiring how nothing happened.
Nothing happened there. And that's the key point, everyone.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this premium video about what are British aesthetics. If you want to follow what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.